The unit overall focuses on three main issues. First of all, and this is really the overarching concept that frames the unit, is that we're interested in how the media produces and constructs meaning. So you're here, it's reasonably safe to assume that you want to be a content creator or a content producer of some type. And given the fact that you come from all across the creative industries faculty, it's probably a very broad range of types of media content that you want to produce, whether it be entertainment of some sort all the way through to documentaries, journalism, or advertising, PR, marketing. But you want to be, we're assuming in this unit that you want to be a content producer, and in order to produce good content that not only reaches an audience and has an impact on its audience, but is also socially responsible and contributes to the world in a meaningful way, you need to know what effective communication is. And in order to do that, you need, or we need, to step back for a moment and think about how the media produces and constructs meaning. That's the overarching issue and concept in this unit. And we do that by focusing on theories of communication. So when we talk about theories of communication in CYB101, we're really talking about applied communication theory. So theories that you can then use, adapt, apply to your own creative work to produce more effective and more socially useful forms of communication. The unit also provides you with the skills to deconstruct media texts in order to understand their social, cultural, and political impact. One of the key issues that we're going to be focusing on this semester is that regardless of whether the communication we're talking about is entertainment, so everything from soap operas, sitcoms, internet memes, whatever, all the way through to, let's call it, more serious forms of communication, or traditionally more serious forms of communication, such as journalism per se, these texts are political. And being able to understand and deconstruct the social and cultural and political impact of media texts not only will help you to be a more professional and effective content creator, but it's an important citizenship skill as well. We live in a world that is saturated with media. Therefore, in order to be a functioning and active citizen, you need to be able to understand the way in which the media works. And that's the third aspect of this unit, which you get to experience over the course of the semester. Now, why this is important? The previous slide has already indicated that in many ways. I think we've already said it. But to distill it quite succinctly, there are two reasons why doing a course in media textual analysis is important. First of all, you can't be an effective communicator unless you understand the principles of effective communication. Secondly, understanding how the media constructs meaning and shapes how we look at the world is an absolutely essential part of being an informed citizen. So allowing you to become a more effective communicator and allowing you to become a more informed citizen are the two main aims and objectives that we want you to come away with from KCB 101. You'll have to, I'll give you a blanket apology now. I will at various times confuse KCB 101 with KJB 101. I coordinate both units. And if you think that's confusing, feel sorry for me, because one letter difference can make an enormous difference to the content and students. So KJB 101, if you haven't done it or aren't doing it this semester, is computational journalism. So I run the gamut from communication theory all the way through to computational journalism. So if you're listening to one of these podcasts and I say KJB 101, just forget or be forgiving of my poor memory, and I do apologise. I give you a blanket apology in advance. Now, why is understanding the way the media works culturally, socially, and politically, why is that important? And I think it's fair to say that kind of at this moment in history, the stakes around being able to become a critical media consumer are extremely high, and you're probably sick of hearing this, but ever since the election of Donald Trump as US president, and we can disregard the politics of Trump, that's not what we're talking about here. What we're actually talking about is the way in which his presidency, his political campaign, has reframed communication and how it's reframe the social and cultural and political dimensions to communication. Because once upon a time, when we talked about fake news, this idea of fake news, we were talking about pretty ridiculous and obviously stupid stuff. So this image is from it's an hilarious newspaper, or a kind of a satirical newspaper in many ways, the Weekly World News. You can still find it. You can still buy it. You can certainly buy it in America. Still, maybe a little harder to get in Australia. And, internet memes and various other forms of online communication have kind of replaced this satirical newspaper. But the Weekly World News was all about crazy conspiracy theories. And, back in the 90s, during the heyday of the Bill Clinton presidency, the Weekly World News would give us these wonderful headlines that Hillary Clinton was having an affair with an alien, and that alien had beaten Bill up, given him a good black eye, as you can see there. There were more stories that Hillary had given birth to an alien baby. Crazy, obviously ridiculous, but funny. Kind of hilariously funny and a bit stupid. Now, our definition of fake news, thanks to the Donald, is much more ambiguous, much less sometimes easy to detect in its fakery. And, we go from tweets that Donald Trump gives us, which are, very clearly opinionated, as the one we see on this side, versus the one here on the left, which is just, it's very difficult how to describe that. Describing the concept of global warming as a Chinese conspiracy in order to make the US less competitive in manufacturing terms. It's kind of like, all the words in that tweet make sense, just not in the order they're written in. But as we've seen, this idea of fake news now is given a lot more credence in its ability to influence people's political opinions and beliefs. So the idea of becoming a critical media consumer, the stakes involved in that, I think, are higher perhaps than they've ever been. So that's why this is a really exciting time to be doing a unit like CYB101, where we look at communication in theory, communication in practice. So we learn about communication theories, we apply those communication theories, and then we look at the ways in which those communication theories correspond to contemporary communication practices, or we begin thinking about how those contemporary communication practices might change and shift our understanding of communication theory.